Welcome to the Emergency Traffic Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Emergency Traffic Podcast. Here's a bonus episode that we call the Tailboard Talk. This week, we're going to talk about fire apparatus form over function. I am Paul, and as usual, we have my co-hosts here, Doug and Zach. Our one host, Dirk, is still in Germany, checking out everything at Interschutz. So, what's happening, Dirk? Dirk's not here. What's happening, Doug?
Interesting that we're having this talk when Dirk is in Germany at Interschutz, because half the stuff we're going to talk about is all popular over in Europe, and I hate it over here.
Well, at least we know where you stand. What do you think?
Dirk knows. We've had this conversation off air 1,000 times. This time we're just going to record it.
Yeah, okay. What else is new, you guys? Zach?
Nope, just wedding planning stuff, you know.
Yikes.
That's good. Yeah, yikes indeed. Yep.
Don't do it. Stop.
Yeah, I gotta make sure she doesn't hear. Yeah, I gotta turn that. Yeah. So no, that's been keeping me busy here. So
what's new with you, Paul?
What's new with me?
Just another day of retirement, eh?
Another day of retirement. Yeah, I'm on break
today. That's new. Yeah.
I do work part time, but it's on summer break right now, so I won't nothing till September for classes again. So camping and hanging out, and yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
I mean, some would argue that you earned your retirement, but
there you go. Yeah.
I don't know if they're right.
Oh, come on now.
36
years as a first responder. Both full.
Well, that's not what you retired from. You retired from globe-trotting around North America, convincing fire chiefs to spend money.
Oh, well, yeah, that was long ago. I kind of missed that. That was fun.
I guess you spent some time on the other side as the fire chief spending money, too.
That's right. That's right. Got to do both. Salesmen were always intimidated by me buying stuff. All right. Well, so this tailboard talk, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about fire apparatus, so that's perfect. And form over function. Doug and I have had many discussions and debates over how important is the aesthetically pleasing appearance of the apparatus to the community and firefighters, and why, versus the function. So I've got a list of little topics here that we're going to talk about just to get the discussion going. The first one on my list was the little pet peeve of mine lately is municipalities that pay extra money to black out the bumper and the diamond plate. They put like Linex or hard coat on it versus painted or typically a chrome bumper and bright diamond plate surfaces. The reason they're chrome or bright diamond plate is there's no maintenance. So why would you spend money to cover that with a blacked out appearance? To me, it's a waste of money, and it's actually harder to clean when it gets dusty and old looking 10 years down the road. What do you think, you guys?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that the ex-salesman thinks it's a waste of money to do something.
I want you to.
You just upsold blacked out Linex bumpers on every truck you sold, and you could have retired 10 years ago.
Well, Linex didn't exist, so it was just coming out when I retired.
I mean, I get your point that but to me, if you're spending $1 million on a truck or $750,000 on a truck, it's probably not that big of more of an expense to block out a bumper or whatever. And yeah, all the little small things add up, but there's also the intangible cost of like firefighters liking their truck, or you think it's a great thing that the Glendale, Arizona Fire Department is yellow when everybody else is red, so that you can see their truck on the news. Well, somebody might want a blacked out truck over a not blacked out truck because they stand out or they're different. Or, I mean, you were on a fire department where it had to be white because we had to be different.
But the black serves no purpose. It's just because it looks cool and it's kind of trendy these days. Black rims
no purpose in Glendale either. But you think that's a great thing.
Actually, scientifically, it was proven that yellow is
here
a
it
more
goes.
visible truck
No.
than red.
I'm
Back
sure
in the
yellow fire
70s,
trucks got hit too.
but not as much. That's why they mandate reflective striping, because they
They didn't
wanted
get
it to
as
be
much,
visible.
there's not as many of them.
So for years, every fire department was buying yellow trucks or white trucks. But red is the color that people identify with fire trucks.
It's just like
So,
Henry Ford said about a Model T. It can be any color you want as long as it's black. Well, a fire truck can be any color you want as long as it's red.
right. Well, speaking from a true Ford guy,
We got about 5 minutes in, guys, and the argument started. Just so our listeners
okay.
know.
So anyway, blacked out bumpers and apron. I mean, used to be painted bumpers all the time, and then because it was extra expense to buy a chrome one, but then you didn't have to repaint it. So the longevity of the chrome is what we use to upsell that feature. The same with cast spoke rims versus the polished aluminum rims, in that they didn't look beat up 10 years down the road. But to Linex it or black it out, why would you paint over chrome? Why would you paint over diamond plate? It doesn't make sense to me.
Chrome, in my experience, chrome's been a lot more difficult to upkeep, right? Because chrome, you get the water scale on it and stuff like that. And we've had guys go at it with a toothbrush and they're still struggling. Like you see it on social media. So somebody's got this newest thing to wash the chrome and make sure there's no scale on it and all this stuff. And if you're not sitting there polishing it every day in a volunteer fire department or even in a full-time department, it's hard to keep the upkeep on it.
You can't clean the Linex.
Sure, but does the Linex get scale on it as easy? Is it more visible on it?
No, it
That's
kind
the
of holds
question.
a kind of dust in the bottom all the time. Can't polish it up.
There's the question. Is there a fix for that out there, right? Is it something you just have to live with?
Well, I guess so.
My personal opinion on this topic is like, I don't really care if a fire department or fire chief or committee feels better about their truck because they blocked it out or Linexed it. Fill your boots. If you want a chrome bumper, fill your boots. If you want a red bumper, have at it. That's not something that's going to make, like some other topics on our list here that really are going to make it or break it for me. I've seen lots of pictures of blacked out and chrome and painted, and they all look fine to me. So I guess if it's something that'll give you more pride and ownership in your truck or your department, it's not hurting anything. Like, why not?
Well, it costs money.
Everything costs money. I mean, a chrome bumper costs money too.
Taxpayers' dollars from a retired fixed income guy,
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next subject. Chrome wheel nut covers versus uncovered wheel nuts, and or those little indicating wheel nuts, the little arrows that go over the wheel nuts, the plastic arrows. Technically, the driver is supposed to inspect the wheel nuts on every pre-trip or every daily inspection to make sure they're not loose or backing off. If you put chrome nut covers on them, you're not visualizing the nut. You can't tell if it's loosened off. And many, many fleets, some fire departments, not as many, are actually using those plastic indicator nuts. I think that fire trucks should have those plastic indicator nuts on them so that the operator knows the wheels are tight versus the nice polished little nuts covers. Thoughts?
I don't think that. I mean, I personally don't want those wheel nut indicator things because I think they look stupid.
Well, who cares about the look?
Me,
You know the wheel nuts are tight.
don't care about the look. It just looks goofy. It doesn't. It takes 3 seconds to bend down, take your hand, and see if a lug nut is tight or not.
They'll still be too tight for your
And-
hand, but they could be
and-
loose.
And the lug nut indicator can be a little bit off, where you're kind of like, it looks tight. I don't know. If it's way loose and it's hanging freely, well then sure. But like, you're gonna notice that with your hand too. So I think the chrome wheel nut cover, if you physically inspect it with your hand and your morning check or your whatever your department does, I think that's good enough.
Zach, what do you think?
Don't really have much of an opinion. My thing is just whatever works, right? Like at the end of the day, that's my opinion on this. My department uses the covers, just the cap covers. And at the end of the day, we just go and check them. Like you go out of your
Well,
way.
you don't take them off,
No.
so you're not visualizing
If the
the
lug nut's loose, you turn the cover's going to turn too.
only if it's really loose. It could be not up to torque, but unloosening. You
Well,
wouldn't detect it.
you're never taking a torque wrench to it on a daily check. You're
No,
checking it with your hand.
you're looking to see if it looks like it's moved. That's why you have the indicators.
Okay.
So we should put indicators on the trucks and take
Okay.
off the stainless steel nuts.
When you're the chief, put them on.
Okay. The next subject I had here was people that buy an aerial ladder and they paint it a dark color. And the problem with that is the dark color, one, it absorbs the heat. So the aerial's getting warmer, although in a fire, although with a steel aerial, it's not bad. And you don't paint aluminum aerials anyway. But it's very hard to visualize cracks and or defects, overheated paint, blistered paint, areas that may have been exposed or to any kind of problem because it's dark black, red, or blue. So I think that they shouldn't be allowed to do that. It should be a light color or not painted.
But that look though, the look of a black aerial looks good. The lights stick out really well in the dark. You know, we get that ladder lighting on it. And
But the ladder lighting's on the inside. You can't see the aerial at night when you're moving it in the dark. If it's black, you may miss something. Whereas if it's a white aerial, you may be able to see better where the tip of your aerial is.
still indicator lights. You can install indicator lights. I'm sure there's fire companies out there that would love to go put indicator lights all over it and charge us up the butt for it. But I just think a black aerial looks good, especially if your truck's black over red. I get that there's functionality to the white, and having a white aerial is good for like a practical purpose. But if your truck's black over red, or
But that's more important.
you gotta have it on there.
The practical purpose is more important.
I bet you if we went back 50 years and every aerial out there was like natural steel color and some fire department painted theirs white, Paul would be like, you can't have a white one. You need the natural color one because of this and this and this. And now there's black ones that are lit up and there's spotlights up and down them, and everybody's got 6 flashlights on their coat, and there's scene lights up there and strobe lights up there, and scenes are lit up better than they've ever been lit up before. You can see what you're doing, but you might not see a crack. Well, if I see a crack on a white painted aerial, I'm going to think that the paint's cracked, not the aerial. They get inspected yearly, and they're inspected by better things than a guy going, oh, there might be a crack here. Like, they're thoroughly inspected.
It is more difficult to visually inspect a dark colored aerial ladder, which the operator should be doing an inspection weekly, just a visual, to see if there's any problem areas. Also, if it's been overheated, exposed to heat from something, again, you can't really see the dark color change color. Whereas on a light aerial, you would see a change in color of the paint. So again, it's form over function. It looks cool. It matches the truck.
I think with the right lighting on it, you can still see the aerial in the
For operating, yes, but not for inspection.
Inspections.
I still think if you took the time to walk down the ladder on a black or blue or gray or red or turquoise or teal or whatever fuchsia ladder that you want, you can get the same quality of visual inspection from an operator that you're going to get on a gray or white or natural colored aerial.
Well, I'm not an NDT certified inspector, so I couldn't comment, but I have heard people say that it is much harder to detect problems on a dark aerial. All right, we beat that one to death. My next one, Doug is really passionate about, and it's too bad that Dirk isn't here. Battenburg or checkerboard stripes versus traditional single color 2-3 stripe reflective striping on fire apparatus. So the Battenburg and checkerboard striping is very popular in the UK and in Europe on fire apparatus to make it more visible at all times under all conditions. Whereas in North America, most fire apparatus is a fairly consistent color, maybe two-tone, with a smaller, less prominent one color reflective stripe or multiple reflective stripes. I think the Battenberg's a good idea since it is a public safety vehicle. It's out in the worst weather conditions and it should always be more visible. And Doug doesn't agree.
This is the problem. Here we go. Fire trucks used to be red. Red. That was it. Gold leaf and red. One light on top, and then somebody hit a fire truck. And they said, okay, let's put more lights on it, but we're going to keep it red. And then somebody hit a fire truck. And they said, okay, let's put a reflective stripe on it. And then somebody hit a fire truck. And then they said, let's put cones up. And somebody hit a fire truck. And let's put a traffic advisor on it. And somebody hit a fire truck. And let's put Battenburg on it. They're still going to hit it. They're going to get hit. And the stupid checkerboard down the side, yellow cabs have checkerboard. They still get in accidents. It looks stupid. And to me, I want to go to work and have pride in the truck that's sitting there. And if I show up to this goofy color scheme, I just don't love riding around on my truck. And I think that
you can't see the truck when you're riding in it.
No, but you see it when you're in the hall the other 10 hours of your shift. And when you see it on social media and you see it on days off and when you see it before you get hired and whatever,
It's my fire truck and that's what I work and I have pride in my department.
I just think that the answer of it's more visible, it's not going to not get hit.
That's why they painted trucks yellow, to make it more visible. They took it away when they added reflective stripes.
All we keep doing is let's do this now, and then let's do this now, and let's do this now, and the problem's
called progress.
The problem's not being solved. You're not. I mean, if the reflective stripes solved everything, then when they put them on trucks, no more fire trucks would get hit. But people are stupid. They're going to hit things, and nobody avoids hitting the fire truck because there's a checkerboard on that one, but there's a reflective stripe on that one, so that's the one I hit.
They might see it quickly or better when it's got the a bold color scheme like a Battenburg when it's not responding, when it's just driving.
They have reflective stripes. They have LED lights all over the place. They have traffic advisors all over the place. We send 3 trucks to every call to protect everybody. And
you can't see the Battenburg when it stopped rear on anyway. It's on the sides.
And if you're driving non-emergency as a normal vehicle and you get T-boned, the Battenburg's not going to stop that from happening. If you can't see a big red or white or yellow fire truck, but you're going to see this little checkerboard and that's going to make the difference, I don't buy that. I think it's just chiefs that, I want to be different and I want to be with the times and I like the way Europe does everything, so I'm going to do it here. And it looks ridiculous.
What you really need is an indication on their cell phone, because that's what they're looking at anyway, and missing the fire truck.
You need an app that says, warning, there's a big red fire truck in front of you. Put your phone down and drive.
All right.
Battenburg's great and all, but it's not going to help you if they're not looking at the fire truck. But I just want to make a point here, because Doug alluded to it earlier, and I'm wondering if a lot of the hate, don't get me wrong, I agree with Doug. I think Battenburg on North American fire trucks is just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It looks stupid on European ones too.
No, but at least in Europe, you come. But my point is, it comes. You expect it to see it on a European fire truck, and so when you see it on the European fire trucks, I'm looking at pictures now.
You know what
it looks natural. It's a natural look for a European fire truck.
Just like when you go put it.
What?
Just like when you see a red truck, you think fire truck. That's why people don't want yellow ones, is because red, you think fire truck. Well, you can train everybody slowly over the years that when you see a Battenburg type stripe, it's an emergency vehicle.
But it's not, Paul. When chevrons got put on fire trucks, it was because it's a fire truck. And now every utility truck driving around has chevrons on the back. Every ambulance has chevrons on the back. Every EPCOR trailer has chevrons on the back. So we're
But the
not
fire
unique.
truck colors are amber and red
But
for
we're not
chevrons.
unique. It's not a wow moment. Like lights, flashing lights used to be like a wow. Oh, there's something going on there. And now every subway has a flashing sign. Like it.
Well, that's just like the takes us into the next point I have was the color coordinated. So some departments, even though NFPA says rear chevrons, which was mandated, I don't know, 15 years ago by NFPA to have a vertical chevron on the back of all fire trucks to be NFPA compliant, and it had to be amber and red. And there's a lot of controversy over first, I don't want a chevron. Second, why can it be amber and red? That's not the color of my fire truck. I have blue and white fire trucks or red and white fire trucks or whatever, and I want the chevron to be color coordinated with the rest of the truck. The idea was the intent, my understanding of the intent of NFPA was if we stick with one color, amber and red, then anytime you see amber and red, you're going to question that might be an emergency vehicle. But some fire departments refuse to do amber and red. They do white and red or blue and red. Or ambulances in Alberta, for example, are amber and blue.
So, at FDIC, I guess this year there was a study that's coming out, or a new thing coming out in NFPA, is that your back of your truck's got to have two different colors, and the colors can't match the rest of the truck. Right, so it sticks out more. So that's something else that's coming out.
I haven't seen that, but could be.
Yeah, but apparently it's coming out. So
okay,
just look out for that.
well, that'll be consistent with the amber. Must be amber and red. Yeah.
Must be. So
Doug?
that's something.
My opinion on chevrons is my same opinion as Battenburg. Like it doesn't, to me, I don't think it makes that much difference. If you're gonna hit a big fire truck, you're gonna hit the fire truck no matter what is painted or deckled on the back.
But you might see it before and react and not hit it. That's the idea. Is that it helps to potentially prevent it.
There's a bazillion lumens of flashing lights on the back of the truck.
What about
chevron is what made the difference.
Well, what about what color of lights?
I was just going to bring that up.
Ontario changed to blue, allowing a blue light on fire trucks now because I guess they think people think that a blue light means cops and you're going to be pay more attention or drive more carefully. I think Saskatchewan actually just added blue lights to fire trucks are allowed now too. I mean, Saskatchewan and Ontario had blue lights on snowplows up till about 15, 20 years ago. And now they're adding them to, it was only blue. So you had a police car with blue and red, snowplow was blue, and then fire trucks were red, red and white. And now they're changing to add blue to a fire truck. So you have red and blue.
And there's talks of it already here in Alberta.
But I don't think it makes a difference. It's like,
but
so what? It's a cop. Either you see a red light, two reds, or a red and a blue, you behave the same. You be careful, watch out, move lanes.
Oh, why do you think that the color of light doesn't matter, but the color of stripe does? Or the color of light doesn't matter, but the color of chevron does?
The reason they're putting a blue light on is so people think it's police. They have to behave. Whereas same as the chevron on the back, if it's amber and red, you think fire truck.
People say that blue is more visible at night as a light.
Yeah, which I don't agree with. I've done my personal studies and I never see it. But that's what they say. You're right.
You agree with chevron colors. Like, what's the difference?
I think it's. I don't think that the blue lens will make a big difference. But studies do say
make a big difference. I don't think Battenburg makes a big difference.
I think the chevron should be amber and red, so that people always identify amber and red with an emergency vehicle.
The thing though, Paul, is like nobody had chevrons. Then somebody had chevrons, and it was like, whoa, chevrons.
Everybody's doing it.
Now everybody has chevrons, and it's like, meh, chevron, big deal.
Back of something. Be careful. Okay.
The fire service were not trendy at all.
No. But there is, the interesting thing is that there's certain areas of North America that have white fire apparatus. And it seems to be just east of the Rockies, all the way from the Northwest Territories to the U.S.-Mexican border on the east of the Rockies, Denver, Clearwater, Red Deer until recently, White Horse or Yellowknife. They're all a white apparatus. It's kind of an odd trend. But anyway, speaking of outside colors, what do you guys think of the interior compartment finishes? There's some builders, it's popular in some areas to do a really bright, like a yellow interior compartment finish to make it visible and bright in there at night. Personally, I don't like them, but what do you think? I know I'm not consistent.
Why do you like Battenburg if you don't like
Well,
compartment
because
colors? Like you're
the compartment's got lights. Who cares?
you contradict yourself here.
Well, that's fine. That's me.
If you're not going to
Welcome my
install
world.
interior lights on it, sure. But most
You
compartments
have
now they
to.
have interior.
NFPA says you have to have
sure.
lights.
So like, really, at the end of the day, what's really the point? If you want it to look, flashy and cool, and that's the next big thing, and you're trying to be trendy, sure. But I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I usually just went with kind of a non-marking whatever color, white with a gray fleck or a red fleck.
If you think the color of the interior of your compartment is what's making the difference between somebody noticing your truck or not.
No, it's not for noticing. It's for
noticing
when you can see stuff. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the public.
I thought you said earlier something.
No.
The truck better.
Nothing to do with the public.
Well, you should know where shit is in your truck with your eyes closed.
Well, you should. Well, maybe you got assigned to a different station this week.
You should.
Or you should still know. You're right.
Everything should be the same.
And what color fire truck should be was the next one I had?
Fire truck should come in any color you want as long as it's red.
All right, Henry Ford II.
Including the compartment door.
What do you mean? Painted compartment doors. Now that's a waste of money.
Doors look way better.
I forgot that one on here. I didn't put that on the list. I forgot it. But it's $300 a door or more, and it gets scratched up.
Well, the not.
Whereas if you leave it natural,
the not painted one gets scratched up too.
But you don't really see it because it's a satin finish aluminum. You don't really see it.
I've never seen a truck that has a giant scrape down the side.
No, the sides get scratched from going up and down.
Who cares if this much gets scratched?
But it's $400 a door.
It still looks better.
You just increased the price of the truck by $3,000.
I just increased the price of my $1.2 million truck by $3,000. My truck.
That is the problem.
My truck that's going to last me 20 years. So I just increased it by $10 a year. Like, big deal.
But that is the problem. That's why it costs so much to operate the fire department. All these little things.
If I wanted to put chevrons or Battenburg on my compartment door, you'd be all over it. It would be worth it then.
Well, you have to have something. Good discussion. What about pump panels? Where should the pump panel be on the red fire truck with red roll-up doors?
Left side.
Driver's side.
Driver's side.
Why?
Mid-mount. Because that's the way it should be.
Why? No, rear mount is much better because you can see three sides of the fire. The left side, you can only see the fire you're on, the side you're on, and it's the street side. You're standing on the road. It'd be safer to put it on the right side.
If you're pumping, you close the road.
Not always so easy.
If you're in a house fire and you're pumping because there's a fire,
maybe it's not a house fire. Maybe it's a car fire.
So you close the road. You create a safe working environment. What if you're on the right-hand side and the fire's on the left-hand side?
That's why you like the rear mount, because you can see three sides of the fire.
And you can't see the car behind you.
Well, you already closed the road.
It doesn't see your Battenburg and doesn't see your 10,000 lights, and they hit you, now you're dead.
You close the road. Well, what about top mount enclosed with a rear mount pump?
So now, top mount enclosed, this is the problem. You're in your own little world. You're the driver of the truck. You're responsible for all the equipment on the truck. You need to know who took it, what they're going to do with it, and if they put it back. But you're in this little cocoon, and you don't know anything that's going on.
But it's freaking cold and windy and yucky and hot out, or whichever.
Welcome to firefighting.
But you're standing there. I don't know. Top mounts are popular. Red Deer, Calgary, Winnipeg, or We're all using top mounts in Canada. It's popular.
I had something to say on your rear mount there. I was trying to get in there, but the anger was flowing. But no, the thing about the rear mount pump is that you're losing that low hose bed that everybody wants. Everybody wants a low hose bed. I don't know about you. I'm a 6'4" tall guy. I hate how tall hose beds are, and I would imagine anybody that's shorter than me hates how tall fire truck manufacturers are making hose beds. Back in the day, I look at like Lacomb's Engine 1, low hose bed, FD&Y, low hose beds, and those hose beds are useful. Right now, you got to climb up in most modern fire apparatuses. You got to climb up the back. You got a ladder to get to your hose bed.
Well,
Now
the
you put a pump to now you got to
ladders
put a pump to
inside the tank. Ladders inside the tank of the body often affect the hose bed depth, height, because you're losing that space to the ladder.
Sure, but now you're putting a pump there too.
Yeah.
That's my point. You lose the hose bed space if you put the pump panel right there. That was my point.
Regina and Victoria have top mount panels, but the connections are at the back. The pump's at the back. Cochrane does too. So, and Cochrane's got a Battenburg stripe. But anyway, but the rear mounted pump and the connections, but the panel is top mount inside.
Top mount inside.
Yeah.
Are you still losing that space though?
And the truck's shorter. The rear mount pump makes the truck shorter because you have no pump module.
See, this guy wants a shorter truck to put the pump at the back. Then he wants to save money and order a commercial cab and make the truck longer. Like, make up your mind here.
We didn't talk about commercial cabs yet.
But that's your opinion. All you do is contradict yourself. You want a shorter truck but a longer truck. You want a more visible truck but not this color light. You want, like, make up your mind.
The commercial chassis is it's a different discussion.
But is it one we can have?
It could be fit right in this discussion.
No, not really. Different reasons for that. Anyway, so Doug, you like left side?
What's wrong with the left side exterior pump panel
versus right side that you might be on the curb side more often for the fire, which is an advantage, but very.
It's a 50-50 shot either way.
Well, probably less. Okay, 50-50. Yeah. So, but you're outside. Pump operator's cold, exposed to the elements.
Pump operator could be busy doing stuff as well.
A rear right? Too.
Running out his pump, getting tools out.
Which, if he's top mounted, it makes it harder because he's got to climb up and down.
Yes. Yeah. That is something I absolutely hate on all top mount closes. I find I'm hanging out the door more often than I'm actually in the cab.
Yeah, I always did that too.
I'm busy running around my truck, and now I've got to jump back into the cab.
I actually fell under the truck one time getting off, and ended up, my feet went out from underneath me, and I ended up under the truck as the pump operator on the handrail or on the running board going, oh, I guess I should get up.
I'll say this. Go ahead.
Everybody talks about that you're out of it's warmer in top mount enclosed, and then you leave the door open so that you're part of the call too, and you're not.
Right, so you can tell, yeah. Then the lights are on, so then you can't see.
And you don't want to spend money on your Linex bumper, but now you're going to add more money to have a top mount enclosed pump. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what my preference is. They all have attributes.
I think that
years and years and years of being a chauffeur and pumping at every shift I work. But between the departments I've been on, I've had top mount enclosed, I've had top mount exposed, I guess you could call it.
Outside, yeah.
And I've had side mount, and I'll take the side mount every day of the week. And especially, I like that on a exterior pump panel, you're not riding backwards all day in the back of the truck. You can see where you're going. You can see the building coming up to it to start your own size up. You can see where the hydrant is. You know where you are. I mean, I remember when I first came to Lacombe there, and my first few calls, getting pump 4, you're riding backwards, and we get there, and I had no idea where I was.
Right.
I wasn't from town, but you go to a big city, and that could be the exact same thing. You don't know if you're going north, south, east, west, or what's going on.
And then they tell you to drive the ambulance out.
Yeah.
You go like, where am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. All good points.
I just think the top mount. I was trying to make the point earlier. I think the top mount enclosed really just creates lazy engineers because you're inside, you're staying warm. If you're not proactive, right, and getting out of your pump pad, because I got to stay next to my pump panel all the time,
Right.
and they're staying there trying to stay warm. They're not going out. They're not checking to make sure that the pre-connect tray is done. They're not going out making sure that the tools are out ready for the guys. They're not. They're not watching their truck. They're literally just staying there in their little space.
Right.
On the
Yeah,
top
hot,
mounted
cold.
clothes that I've had, I didn't think gave you that much better visibility because you're in the cab. I mean,
Yeah, as soon as you enclose it, it gets difficult to see.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Engine one there where you're outside,
Right. You can see over the cab.
but then you're outside. So why not just put it on the side? Like,
Right. Right. Yep. Okay. Good discussion. What about aerials? Rear mount aerial versus mid mount aerial. Either of
The
you guys.
correct answer to that is yes. If if you're a city with more than one aerial device, you should have a mix of aerial devices so that you have something for every configuration. If you're a town with one ladder truck, then it gets harder. You got to pick this over that. But it's stupid in my opinion when you're a city of 15 ladder trucks and they're all exactly the same.
I didn't say the aerial type. I'm just saying whatever it is, straight stick or platform,
Well, I know,
mid mount or rear mount.
but mid mounts have advantages and rear mounts have advantages. You can do things with one or the other you can't do with the other one.
The only real advantage to mid mounts is one, they're lower for stations
Which
and
could be
bridges and stuff.
important if
Could be important.
and
A
bridges.
lot of guys,
things like
a lot of guys like him because he can have a full height cab.
Yeah.
Which, like, who cares? It's a fire truck. But
that.
the other one,
I care. I care when I'm on the truck for work every day, going to get groceries and going to medical calls and going to whatever. I care.
has to be a full height cab,
It a nice amenity to have for sure.
so you don't have to. Just you can stand up before you step down the steps. So is that a reason though to buy a mid-mounted aerial versus a top mount?
No, I don't think
I think
if that's your determining factor, I don't think that needs to be the determining factor.
And the only on-scene operational advantage of a mid-mount, there's two, I guess. One is that you can drive in and work over the cab if it's above 3 stories high, where you're going to. And the other is that you can easily send firefighters to the basket before you lift the ladder.
I
Versus
think there's
having to
one
walk
more.
all the way down. In a rear mount, if you want to get to the cab, you got to walk all the way down the ladder and get in the bucket.
There's one more advantage here, Paul, I'll add with the mid mount is that typically you're placing aerial where in most apartments they're going to show up in front of the house. If you got a rear mount, you've got one side of the house. With
Yeah.
mid mount, you can get both sides of the house because you're literally right in front of the house.
What do you mean? You pull
Sure,
past.
you pull, engine's pulling past,
So you have room.
so you have room right in front of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. On a rear mount, you've got this side of the house, or at a stretch, if you're stretching our area, you maybe
You got
get the other
you
side of the
got
house.
the alpha and the delta, is what you're saying.
You don't got the full access like you do on a mid mount, where the platform is right in the center of the house, so you've got access to both sides.
Well, you can easily put your platform at the center of the house with a rear mount.
Sure, hopefully that the engine's left you enough room.
That's
but yeah,
that's training.
That's training.
that comes down to training.
That's
But
training.
The engine can just as easily block you out in a mid
But
mount.
you can't bring the basket to the ground except on either side. Whereas a rear mount, you can bring the basket to the ground on 3 sides.
yeah,
A rear mount, you could bring it to the ground on the back.
Nope. The truck's in the way.
You're saying on a mid mount?
On a mid mount, you can't bring it to the ground on the rear because the truck's in the way. You can bring it like 8 feet up.
Yeah, I get you. I thought you said on a rear mount you can't.
Right. The only problem is if you have a tough obstacle or a challenging situation, you should back in.
To me the huge disadvantage of the mid mount is the increased tail swing.
Yes, I find them.
Yes.
Even I find them challenging to drive.
But
But
once again,
That's
the
training.
ascendant, once again, they're making them now shorter with 5 flies now, so you don't have that big tail swing because that is
The disadvantage of the 5 flies is there's a lot more movement in the aerial when you're on it. Yeah,
sure, but once again, leading into our next segment,
more complex,
more
more
complex, right?
yep,
You get
more
next segment
cables,
is
more
articulating.
pads, more sensors. Yep.
So where do you draw the line of movement of the aerial, right? Articulating or non-articulating? More
Well, there's
flies
not
or
more
no flies?
sections though.
let's
There's
be
not more
honest,
sections
it
on the
should be a
articulating.
tiller anyways.
It should be a tiller at the end of the
Should
day.
be a tiller.
The bendy truck.
If it's just a straight aerial, should it be a tiller? I didn't put that on here. If it's a straight aerial, should it be a tiller? That's a good question.
I think
You think
Location,
yes?
location.
like I get it. Tiller's more expensive. You can't get a platform tiller. I get all that. But when you're in a major urban city with traffic and parked cars, it makes a big difference. If you want to equip it like a true truck company with all kinds of equipment on it, the tiller gives you way more space for compartments for carrying stuff, and it's way more maneuverable than a straight body ladder truck is.
Yeah, I definitely can't beat the tiller for compartmentation. And although for maneuverability, you can get really close. One time years ago, I did a head-to-head with a short, metropolitan style 100-foot aerial versus a tiller, and we followed each other around for it was 1 or 2 days, uh, and they took us everywhere they could go, and we went everywhere. We followed them everywhere. There was one place where we had to back up with non-tiller metropolitan style aerial, and there was a little cul-de-sac. You had to go around the center hub kind of thing, and we had to back up. But we could go everywhere with it, but a
No,
lot less
you could go
compartmentation.
everywhere but one place. So you
But
couldn't
one
go.
place. Yeah, we had to back up, and of course the tiller does have a lot more compartments, which is nice, and for weaving through traffic and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Some of the downsides though with it, right, is the increased training
right. A lot of
and
training.
level. Like
Yeah,
our guys just went to FDIC and they came back and apparently a tiller. Don't quote me on this, but apparently a tiller is only a Class 3 vehicle because it doesn't come off the
Well,
trailer.
it'd be different in every jurisdiction what they claim.
Absolutely,
oh,
but either
for
way,
licensing, you mean?
licensing, right? Because
Yeah,
that's another big cost, especially now here in Canada, right, where the
the
cost of
class
getting
one,
Class
right?
1
Yeah, yeah.
is extremely expensive, right? So Class 1 training, then you got to teach somebody how to drive the back. So that's some of the downsides
But
of
it's not really because you're teaching someone how to operate whatever truck you have.
But if the fire department has to spend extra money to get a class one for all your
Yes, but
operators,
sure,
that could cost a lot of money.
that
Yeah,
the licensing, sure, but the
right,
the
right,
training the guy to drive the back of the tiller,
right.
you got to train the guy to drive whatever truck you buy.
Yeah, I put a motion through the Chiefs Association a few years ago here saying that fire trucks should be a non-classified vehicle, so they shouldn't have to follow because so many fire trucks are overweight for provincial or state road laws anyway. That really the liability is open for the municipality there if there was an accident, even though the truck's not overweight for the truck. It's overweight for the road law for the width of tire and pounds on the road. Technically, a smart lawyer could jump on that if there's an accident or something. So I put a motion through, but I never heard what happened with it. But that's another issue that would deal with the drivers as well. So we should probably wrap this up. We've been 40 some minutes, so it's been a great discussion with everybody and some good lively talk about this. Anything to add, Doug?
Well, I mean, there's only two more things on our list. But,
Oh, well, I just was spitballing on
yeah,
the list. We could cover them if you want.
I
Straight
can
platforms versus
well,
articulating platforms.
to me, I mean, a straight stick platform versus articulating. As much as it pains me to say it, if you're only buying one ladder truck, then the articulating will be able to do more than the other one will. If you're
I
buying
think
multiple, if you are a big city, I don't think every single truck should be a straight platform, and I don't think
right,
every single truck should be an articulating platform. I do
right. I think you need a mix.
I do think zero of them should be 250 feet though.
I don't know.
Had to get that in
I
there, eh?
disagree with you there. I think that it's good for large metropolitan centers to have a extreme high reach device in their fleet. I think it's a good idea. People around the world have been doing it for years. It hasn't been happening. Although, I mean, 150 feet was sort of the extreme high reach in North America. Lots of cities had 150 feet, and that kind of went away with the Calabar Firebirds and the Brontos for about 10, 15 years. Now we're starting to see it maybe come back. And I don't think that's a bad thing, especially with the variety of fires we're having in high places and rescues. I mean, look at the rooftop gardens catching fire in Las Vegas or in New York. All these kind of weird things that, you need that accessibility
I
to,
still
to reach some of those
maintain,
places.
and I talked to a guy from Toronto who just bought it, who you did your big tailboard talk on, in a major urban center that you say needs these trucks. It's going to be next to impossible to have the footprint to set them up.
I disagree. It's like 24 feet. So any roadway in downtown, you name the city, is that wide. So really, it's not a
But there's
problem.
medians and there's parked cars and there's the whole first
And,
alarm assignment that got there first, and
and
there's
you can short jack it. So you go out one side. It only operates on one side. I mean, Calgary had the same footprint for how many years with their Calabar and their 167-foot Bronto. It was 20 feet, so it's 4 more feet maybe.
the,
Uh,
the big problem I think that there is with the articulating platforms is they seem to be more maintenance prone
uh,
than
training. Training is
well, I
important.
mean, training. You
They're
have
more
to
sophisticated, so
train
they're going to have more
them,
maintenance.
right? So
Yeah, they're going to be more maintenance, and they're more sophisticated. It's a more sophisticated machine, right? Your new car today is less maintenance, but it's harder to fix because you have to have the technicians that know how to do it. It's got more systems in it, and the quality of fire trucks is never going to meet the quality of production vehicles on the road because the numbers are so small. But yeah,
And this is where Doug was saying earlier, like if you're a single department or you're a smaller department and you have one ladder truck, that's the truck to get. Yes, great. I get where you're coming from functionality, but you got to look at that department's financial status as well. It's buying a ladder truck, a singular ladder truck. Odds are it's buying this to kind of encompass many jobs because it can't afford to buy 2 or 3 ladder trucks. But then look at the maintenance costs on these trucks, right? You're seeing it more and more often. You're seeing a trend where these trucks used to get, sell like hot pockets, and now they're like, oh, that was kind of a mistake. And now these guys are going back to platforms, or even now the King Cobra, where it's a platform truck first, and they're going back to it because this is overcomplicated and it didn't work the way we wanted it to. We're spending so much money on maintenance costs on these.
you're gonna spend similar money on any platform you buy.
Are you
It's
spending
just
more money on a straight stick?
absolutely.
Yeah. I,
Absolutely.
we,
Not as in the same area, maybe not quite as much, but you're going to still spend a lot of money on maintenance. It's a big truck. It's heavy. It's complex. Your any platform aerial today, except for one or two brands, are extremely electronics dependent, and you're going to get the same issues with sensors and all that kind of stuff and operator training. There's only one brand out there who builds an aerial who isn't extremely electronic dependent in the operating system. But you don't have those whizzy features that people want. So anyway, it's a good discussion about all that stuff. Uh, I think we should wrap it there, guys.
okay,
Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate your listening. Hopefully, you find these valuable. Give us some feedback. You like them, you don't like them. Give us some stars, likes. You can follow us on our social media feeds. Thank you very much.
sounds good.
See you guys.